Hello, and welcome to 100% Real with Ruby. Today is one for those of you out there who are wondering why they just don't work the same anymore. The old diets, it's not the same. Picture this. It's 1995 and everyone's in their colorful, I'm pretty sure colorful, high-cut leotards doing intense cardio, the higher energy aerobics. We were told that it was that intense cardio that was going to blast fat, to push through the burn, count every calorie, and to leave it all on the gym floor. There was a hyper obsession over the scale, the magazines, celebrity diets, morning talk shows. But when you fast forward to today, we keep trying to go back to what worked before, trying this, trying that, but things just don't work the same anymore. And we wonder if our body's broken. Do you ever wonder what's changed? Do you ever wonder why they just don't feel as smooth as they used to feel? Our bodies have changed and our fitness playbook has to change too. So what is our new plan? If you're tired of hearing that same advice of eat less, work out harder, you're not in a calorie deficit, you just need to get into a calorie deficit, and you're confused on what to even do, you're in good company. By 35 years old, most of us have started to realize that what used to work just doesn't anymore. I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there are starting to feel that shift in your energy and that shift in your body. What used to work isn't going to work anymore. Just maybe it isn't actually you, but it's the method. I'm going to leave you with practical tips that you can take away by the end of this podcast, but I feel like it is my job to explain to you in the best detail that I can so that you can navigate the online world a little bit better and ignore the bullshit, because I know how disheartening it is and how confusing it can be when you're pummeled with all these different images, when you're getting an emotional image that is showing someone so successful in doing it a certain way. It is going to make you think twice, and you're human. You're going to be questioning yourself, questioning your body, especially if you are over 45 and you're feeling the emotional ups and downs of perimenopause. You're in even more of a vulnerable place and you're a victim. You're a victim to the online world of coaches and trainers and programs and charlatans preying on you. Let's fast forward to today. You're still working hard, or at least trying to gain some consistency, trying to watch what you're eating. Maybe not as consistently because you're finding it really hard to stick to. You're not seeing the results, so it's really hard to stay consistent with it. Or even if you are really consistent with it, your weight's just not budging like it used to. Your belly still just feels like it's holding more and more fat, and you're not sure why. It's not like you really changed all that much either. You're not alone in noticing this change. Many clients come to me in this place. Well, the clients that come to me in particular, they're ones that are working hard and they haven't noticed much change at all in the fact that they're watching what they're eating, they're prioritizing more whole foods, and they're getting their workouts in, but their middle section just isn't reflecting the effort they're putting in. You aren't alone in noticing this change. Your body is responding differently in ways that does feel unfair. So if you look at research shows us that our metabolism, it slows down by as much as 30% by time we're 50. So from the age of 30, it decreases by about 10% a year. And you see people online, including myself, for a particular reason, which I'll get into, say that your metabolism does not slow down as you age. Now, if you look at research online, it says that it doesn't. But what they aren't telling you, why is it showing our metabolism not actually being impacted by age when we are experiencing something different? The research is showing your resting metabolic rate, influenced by your total body weight, your muscle to fat ratio. Muscle burns 3 times more calories than fat. Basal metabolic rate is influenced by your total body weight and your muscle mass. So if you are losing weight predominantly from muscle, you are going to be losing a shit ton of metabolism. That is where a lot of women find themselves, because they've been doing all of those crazy diets or low calorie diets, and like eating less just isn't the same anymore. Calorie deficits are not created equal, and it isn't enough. It's why eating little cheat days and trying to get by on like 1,500, even 1,600 calories is really setting you up for this metabolic hormonal disaster. Your muscle mass is the most important thing to hold on to in this period of your time. If you aren't doing that, that is when things start to get a little bit wonky. I want to go a little bit deeper into why just focusing on calorie deficit, eating less, focusing only on fat loss is going to sabotage you, even if you have more fat to lose. Even if you're in this position now where you're realizing I've done this wrong before and now I've gained all this body fat, I'm going to need to lose it before I can quote unquote fix myself, or before I can build muscle, or before I can do a health focus phase where I can focus on my metabolism. That isn't going to help. That really is going to just dig a deeper hole where a lot of people find themselves, because they're in this really uncomfortable place now. They don't forgive themselves for old approaches. It's not your fault that you fell into that. You didn't know any better. Online messaging is so alluring, so just confusing. Think about two people. What do you think is going to happen if someone is able to build a lifestyle where they're maintaining on 1,800 calories versus on 1,400 calories? Sad case if you're on less than that. The 1,800 calorie person is going to not only fit in more family life, more social life, be able to be more accountable to that. They're going to have a lot more energy to get around the day. Versus if you're accurately tracking every single thing that goes into your mouth, including drink, like literally anything, drinks, liquids, blah, 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 you're going to find it really hard to have the energy and performance you need to thrive in life. As you lack the nutrients for metabolism, for hormones, for energy, for lifting heavier weights and boosting your performance, your muscle is not in a place to adapt in a way that you want it. There is no muscle anything happening on those lower calories. So you're either maintaining muscle or losing muscle. And that goes back to what I started off this podcast with. That is the reality of metabolism. That is why we feel that way with our bodies. And that is why when you go out to eat at restaurants, when you have the slightest thing off plan, when you go over your calories by just the littlest bit, it sticks to you so much more because your metabolism is not resilient. You haven't built a robust metabolism. If you keep yo-yoing in and out of I'm on a diet or I'm not intentional whatsoever and I have no strategy for my nutrition, then you go back into a diet again. Or you're on a diet this whole time, but not consistently. All of this is impacting your hormones. It's impacting your metabolism. And this is why we feel like things just don't work the same anymore. It's not you, it's your approach. A lot of the time it's subconsciously, we don't actually realize this stuff. I will talk about those that feel like they're doing everything right as well, but it's just not working out the way they intended. But I tend to find a lot of people in this exhausting cycle of all in or all out, or they are doing all the hard things because it's really easy to just grind it, to just eat less, to cut out these things. It is so much easier to be on that extreme end than to find this balancing point in the middle. But just being on that extreme end is giving you negative effects. It's exhausting. It's not a lack of willpower. It's biology. Your body's natural response to restriction. It's going to get a lot more efficient in every single aspect. Survival mode, like an eco mode on a car. When you're running out of fuel, it makes sense that you want to do everything you can to not overspend that fuel because you don't have a petrol station nearby. Or if your phone is on like 8% battery, it's going to go into low power mode. Like say you're out for the whole day and you don't have access to a phone charger for the next 8 hours and it's on 10%. You're going to keep it on low power mode, which is going to turn off all the background apps and all the things that are going on to only keep the bare essentials. And all those background apps are burning a shit ton of energy just existing. But now that it's getting turned off, excess energy isn't being burnt anymore. So you're still eating the same amount of calories, which is why eating in a calorie deficit isn't working for you. Calorie deficit doesn't work there because calorie deficit isn't just what you are eating. It is also what's being burnt in the background without your physical knowing. Adding your physical knowing, which is you doing the same things, but you don't realize that your body is actually burning less doing those same things until you give your body the sense of safety, the idea of abundance. Like your body senses that abundance. It senses the fact that it's getting a little calories in. There is such a thing in your body where there's offshoots of calories that gets turned into heat. Like there's energy in and then it gets translated into energy out. There's also a funnel in the middle where your energy in actually goes energy out in other areas. That is just like wasted energy. So it's like wasted calories, which is a good thing because you can eat more calories and then it just gets wasted. And the same happens with every single process in your body where it can just be wasted and it doesn't use all the calories because it's getting an abundant amount in. If it's getting a scarce amount in all the time, it's going to latch onto every single one of those calories because it needs it. So that is another reason why it doesn't work. Okay, hope that kind of makes sense to you there. It is not because you're broken. It's not because you need to boost up your metabolism or do some rapid detox, because your body is going to respond in the opposite way, the good way. Once you start giving it the fuel again, it's going to start moving a little bit more. You're going to start having that energy back, and it's going to start wasting calories more. It's just not going to happen in the space of a week. You need to give it a few weeks to adapt in the same process. It can feel like every indulgence hits harder and lasts longer, and a weekend of eating out used to be no big deal, and now it is. That's about to change. The bigger factor in all of this that most of us do not realize, the biggest factor. Now, remember what I just mentioned about your body wanting to save or waste calories. When you think about metabolism, there is also general movement. A lot of us just think about calories burned intentionally. But when we talk about movement, while training is essential, that's like the main scene. Think about your daily movement, like your steps. And if you're watching the video, I'm moving my hands around like a crazy person. This is still daily movement. This is called neat. Steps aren't neat. That is planned activity. It's not training. It's not planned exercise, but it's planned activity. Neat is all this other stuff. It's me being bothered to go get a bottle off the bench in the kitchen versus just like being like, I can't be bothered. Or me just slouching in a chair versus actually using my posture muscles, which burns a little bit more energy as well. Like, yeah, okay, it's only a little bit here and there, but it does add up over the day, over the week, over the month. It all adds up. Think of the daily movement like background music in a movie. If you're watching a really intense scene, can you imagine watching that same scene with the TV on mute? Completely different effect. The music makes the movie, but it just isn't the main scene. It sets the tone for everything else. These little choices all add up over time. Our movement slows down. The biggest difference when it comes to being 35 or older is that our lifestyles change a lot, especially as females, the way that our hormones are, the way that our brain is compared to males. We are a lot more sensitive to stress. And now we have all these other stresses. We have the stress of wanting to thrive in our careers. We have the stress of, if you have a family, you have the stress of being the mum. You need to look after the partner sometimes and the kids. The partner does his own thing as well, but the mother is like the mother of the house. Like, you have all these other things, and there is a huge demand for recovery. We're crazy busy through the day, and a lot of the time that busyness isn't actually active busy. You might feel like you've been really busy all day, and then you look at your watch and realize that you haven't really gotten that many steps, although you felt really busy. It's that step count that makes the biggest difference. And when clients come to me, most of the time, they swear up and down that they're doing everything, but then when we actually look at their steps, there might be some days where they have 8,000 steps, but literally the majority of the week is around the 3,000 to 5,000 mark. There's even been shown in the literature that up to 1,000, even 2,000 calories, but the 2,000 calories is what I kind of typically push towards the men. So I think it's safer to say just around even 1,000 calories can be added on as a female, just from simply being a lot more active through the day. And if you are over 45, if you are under 5'5", even 5'6", like me, an active lifestyle is a must. It's not even a question. It's like you need to move your body. If you are sedentary, if you are getting under 7,000 steps, you are not in a place to thrive. You are not in a place where your metabolism is going to be functioning in any sense. Like, you need to get over 7,000 steps, because food isn't just food. Food provides nutrients, protein, carbs for energy. It provides so much for your metabolism, for your hormones, so you can actually live healthy and functional. The less food you have, the less opportunity you have to get nutrients and vitamins into your body to function in the way that you want it to function, to have a healthy metabolism, to be able to build muscle, to be able to lose fat. Like, you want to fuel fat loss, not starve fat loss, which you would have heard in my last solo podcast. Like, weight loss is so easy. Fat loss is a different story. Building muscle is an even different story. So there's that pillar. The next pillar, we're talking muscle. You should be doing everything you can to prevent muscle loss. You should fear muscle loss more than anything, as that's what happens. You will lose muscle if you are not actively working to keep it. Training in any sense is designed to help you keep muscle if your dieting and nutrition isn't completely wacko and you're on and off the calories and you're not eating enough protein. Like, if you're not eating enough protein, if you have no strategy to nutrition and you eat little some days and overeat other days, that's a different story, because you could either be losing muscle or maintaining muscle there. But our goal is to at least maintain muscle, and it doesn't take all that much to maintain muscle as long as the dieting isn't completely chaotic. So maintaining muscle, but we want to do what we can to build muscle. It's just that as we age, especially if you're 35 and onwards, the anabolic signaling, aka the way our body responds to protein, is lower. We need more protein in servings to get the same muscle response, the same anabolic stimulus. So you need to be making sure that you're getting at least 35 grams of protein in that feeding. I would say at least 3 meals to hit that 35 threshold. If you can get 4, even better. But you want to make sure you're hitting at least your protein target for the day. So say your protein target is 150, which would be a great target for most. If you split that out through the day with at least 3 big meals there, and then figure out how else you want to get that protein in, that is already just an easy thing to swipe off, because you could plan around, okay, so I'm going to make sure that I have breakfast with that. I'm going to make sure that I have dinner with that, and I might make a smoothie. 3 meals taken care of, and then you can fit the rest in. Or that smoothie might even just be a nice lunch that you know you're going to get that in. So there's something there. But I think one of the biggest things, like I mentioned with how sensitive we are to stress and how old methods don't work anymore, a lot of people feel like more and more is better. Like more days of training, let's add in more exercises. And then you see a simple training program that has like 5 or 6 exercises on it, and you're like, surely that can't be enough to change my body. We don't train to lean up or lose fat. We train to build muscle. It is the nutrition that meets the training that leads to the body composition. But you need to build muscle in training. That's the whole purpose of training, to build muscle, to get fitter, to improve mobility, to improve bone density. Like that's what training does. The leanness comes from the nutritional aspect, matching the phase that you're in with training and with life. So either in a diet or either in the other side of dieting, because they're the two sides of the coin. Your recovery has to become a core part of the fitness plan. And usually when you're 35 and older, because we have a lot more stress to recover from, and also our sleep tends to get a lot more disrupted, especially if you're a mother, especially if you have a demanding career and there's a lot of things going on in your mind. And even more if you're in perimenopause and estrogen is now impacting your sleep. Imagine your body as a high performance car. You wouldn't drive it hard every day without giving it the tune-ups it needs to run smoothly. Recovery isn't just nice to have. It is a non-negotiable for results. And rest days aren't something you earn. Rest days are essential for you to be able to train hard. They're not something you earn from training hard. I'm also going to quickly touch on alcohol. So as females in general, we respond differently to alcohol, but as we age, and especially as we go through perimenopause and our estrogen starts to do its thing, our electrolyte balance and our water balance in our body actually changes with that, meaning the way that we process alcohol also changes. But even just on the simple fact that we are smaller human beings than males, we process it differently. And then when you add in the fact that we already have extra stresses going on in our lives, alcohol is another burden that's going to play into that. So we need to, if not get rid of it, it is a class 1 carcinogen, the most toxic thing that you can put into your body. But that aside, just understanding our relationship with alcohol is important. I'm not saying cut it out completely. I'm saying decide where it fits into your life in a way that it is not hindering set shifts and embracing change on the fact that we need to leave behind what we felt like used to work. But I think the hardest part is when we were younger, we felt like results came a lot faster. And that's because they did. Our bodies were in a place where they responded better to everything, especially in your 20s, because when you're in your 20s, your body is going to be a lot more responsive. There are things that change and things that don't change. The things that don't change is that, yes, the calorie deficit, like I mentioned, is still essential for fat loss. It's just that we need to understand how that calorie deficit is made. We need to be intentional about how we make the calorie deficit and not stay in one for too long. Now you understand the ramifications of that. Your macros become a lot more important now. Honest, accurate food logging, not being in denial if you're having snacks here and there, or if you're drinking alcohol more than you would like. So you only put in the amount that you're okay with logging and being accountable to. Everything needs to be logged. Because you can't manage what isn't measured. No one's judging you and no one benefits from you not being honest. You're only making it harder for yourself. Me as a coach, I don't judge. I don't shame. I try to get you curious about why certain behaviors are there and see if you want to change certain things, because you might not want to change your alcohol habit just yet. Everything we do is serving us in a way. So that might be something that's actually serving you and you feel letting it go for what it now means for something else. So that could be a future habit that we address. There is nothing wrong with that. You just need to be honest and accurate with what is happening so that you are empowered to change. You have the driving seat. And yes, I know that I've made it sound like balance can't be a thing here, but balance is still extremely crucial. If you don't have a social life, if you don't have emotional health within this, it is not going to be long lasting or sustaining. It's just that we need to be a lot more intentional with what we do and just be accountable to it. Track your data. Things that change that we need to be okay with is, like I said, the mindset shift. Resisting the hardest thing. The hardest thing is resisting the urge to go back to the old methods because you remember how fast results were, or online is making it seem like what you're doing isn't working and something's broken. And there's this new and shiny way that's going to get you results in less effort, less thinking, less tracking because you hate tracking so much and whatever else they promise you. You need to resist that so that you can make the great changes you need to get the results that you want. But above all, it's this increased need for self-care. Be kind to yourself. Sleep, stress management. You have a lot going on in your life. You have responsibilities, and most of you care a lot about your career. A lot of you are high-striving women, and you want to make a mark somewhere. You want to work hard and be rewarded for it. All of that is a responsibility that is taking out a section in your brain capacity. It's taking out a section in your life. It's taking some form of energy, focus, etc. But I want to leave you with one thing. If you think of your life as a pie, how much of it is negative self-talk, focusing on your body, focusing on how out of control with food you are, on how you can never get a grip, how something's wrong with you, you're broken, or just berating yourself? How much of it is focused on that versus how much should be focused on it, which is if you just have this planned strategy that you can just plug and play, put it in and have it just there where you just show up, do the work so that you can live your life. Kind of like your car. It's not like you have to worry about every single little thing that's going on with your car because you're the only one that has to fix it and then you don't know how to fix it. So then you need to go online and research every single thing about the car and then you don't know what's true and what's not true. Now that is why there's a mechanic there. So you don't have to do that. And that's the same with your health and fitness and why there's coaches that exist. But that aside, the most important part is just to get realistic about how much of this pie is taken up with this stuff because your life is worth living. When you actually get out and live your life, focus on the things that you can control, focus on the things that empower you, like getting stronger, like feeling better, nourishing yourself. The results are going to come because you do not get results by focusing on results. You get results by focusing on the actions that bring the results, not waiting for the harvest, but finding a way to make gardening enjoyable. Plant the flowers that you love to look after and look at, and the flowers that smell nice. Like I will have so much more fun gardening flowers that smell nice. Make it something that you can enjoy. It's not going to be enjoyable if you are always pressuring yourself and on the crunch and waiting to see every single little thing because you're so zoomed in while life is happening back there. So practicing patience and perseverance is probably the greatest advice that I can give you. Adopting a flexible but consistent routine because it is not optimal if it can't be flexible. So say, for example, this is your optimal structure and then something happens and now you can't move optimal. Think situationally optimal. So it's optimal based on the situation you're in. So this is optimal here in this situation, but now you have this going on. So what's optimal for this situation that you're in? Think of a tree. If it's so rigid and perfect and then wind comes, snap. But if it's resilient and wind comes, it blows and it stays standing. Third action step is to keep focusing on protein and progressive overload in a sense that you are progressing over months. You're not going to always progress each week, but you want to focus on building as much strength and performance as you can. And the fourth one is prioritizing your recovery, your sleep, and your stress management. But the core to all of that is that mindset. Core to all of that is being honest with your actions. This is the time for you to rewrite your fitness story. Your body's changing and the basic rules still exist, but the fitness playbook has changed. What used to work isn't going to work anymore. This is the best opportunity for you now. Like, honestly, this is empowering. This is now your opportunity to finally get off the hamster wheel. You don't need to be doing the soul-crushing aerobics of the past. You don't need to let the scale dictate your emotions and your mood and your energy every single day. The scale is not reflective at all of your body composition, which I spoke about in the Scales solo podcast. So I hope this helped. And just remember, it's never too late. And just make it a rule to never think twice about the investments you put into yourself, into your health, into your nutrition, into your coach, into your fitness, because investments pay dividends. Everything else is just spending cash and you'll get to a point where you're trying to pay off a credit card that your body doesn't have the balance for. Hope that helps. Love you all. And if this helped you in any way, please reach out to me. Let me know. And if you have any topics for the future that you want me to cover, message me on Instagram. Transform X Ruby. Otherwise, I will see, well, no, you will hear me in the next podcast. And I know that I mention it all of the time, but a lot of people just listen past it because you're listening on the go. But if you can please just spare 1 minute to give my podcast a 5-star rating, it will mean the world to me. I don't want to use ads. I just want to try to get this podcast to as many people as I can. Appreciate you all. Thank you.